Working on a 92 YJ today, replacing the radiator, which, as you can see, the light's coming right through it, completely gone. We're also going to replace the thermostat and the water pump, and we got all our parts from Crown all ready to go. Let's get started. Alright, so first things first, got to get this out of the way. Just take a couple of the clamps off and all these good things here. So we'll start by doing that, and then we can get in here and take this out. Alright, so we're loosening the pump, power steering pump right here, so we can start to take the belt off. So there's a couple of bolts in the back you just want to loosen, do not remove them. And there's a couple in the front as well that we're just going to loosen. And then as you can see down here, there's an empty hole, and that is supposed to have your tension adjuster screw. For some reason, they are always missing. It seems like people don't know how to properly loosen the power steering pump to get at the belt. You need to learn how to do this correctly. Alright, so we got a 1/2-inch wrench here. It's pretty hard to get a socket in here, so we're just going to use a wrench just to loosen. A couple turns, that's all. Might be a little difficult at first, but just a few turns to loosen it up. Alright, so now that we loosened both of these bolts in the back, you can just push this down, which will make it so you can take the belt off. Had that little screw in there, we would have had to do a little bit more, but it's missing. Alright, so now we got the old belt off. You might want to check it against your new one, just to make sure. You never know. Looks good to me. Alright, so we just unscrewed the drain valve here on the radiator, so letting that come out. And then next, up in the back, we got 2 lines for the automatic transmission fluid, and we will be unscrewing those. Alright, so while we're waiting for that fluid to drain out,
which looks like water.
Yeah, which does look like water. We're just going to remove this. There was a couple of little clamps around here. They were basically destroyed anyway, which isn't uncommon. So we're just going to take a screwdriver and start to gently pry this off. There we go. And alright, so we're going to remove this upper hose and the fan shroud, which in this case, somebody's already removed some bolts. But there's this little screw on here, you take this off. There should be a few more bolts on the fan shroud. Alright, so we're going to take out the transmission lines. So there's 2 of them. I don't know if you can see, but right here is one. And then over here is the second one. We're going to remove those next. Alright, so then once we're done taking these 2 lines out, we got to take out the lower radiator hose, which is way over here on the left. Alright, getting ready to actually remove the radiator. We disconnected all the hoses, and there are supposed to be 6 bolts holding this in. We were missing a few. But ready to lift it out. There we go. Gently. That's one nasty radiator, although I've seen worse. Alright, we're getting ready to remove the thermostat housing. You can see it's kind of nasty. And basically we're just going to loosen this clamp, pull back this hose. There's 2 bolts, one here, one down there. This little sensor, you're just going to unscrew it. And just to show you, this is the new cover. So you can see the 2 bolts, and then that's where that little sensor is going to screw into. See the difference? And then also on this fan you can see this spacing. So obviously find a good spot where it's nice and wide so you can get your tools in here to get the bolts off. Alright, so we got the cover off. I'm just taking a look at your thermostat in here. That's the old one. Here's the new one. You just want to see there's a little hole at the top. That's for burping. So when we install this, you want to make sure it's at the top. And then the spring obviously goes inside. Alright, we're getting ready to remove the fan so that we can get to the water pump. And there's 4 bolts on here. I think we're using a 1/2 inch on the wrenches here. Basically, you're going to play a little song and dance. You're going to put one on here to kind of hold it on this side, and then And this one you're just going to start unscrewing. Kind of do that. Go around to the next one. Do the same thing. Put this on to hold it. Put the other one on to loosen. And just continue around. Alright, so now we got all the bolts loosened. We're ready to pull the fan off. Let's give it a try. Oh, it came right off. Sometimes, if it doesn't come right off like that, you can use a little mallet and sort of gently bang it off. Alright, we're just going to remove this pulley down here so we get access to the water pump. 15 millimeter. We just put a nice little leverage wrench on here to hopefully make this come off nice and easy. There we go. Alright, we're removing the power steering pump brackets, which as you can see is attached to the water pump. So there's a couple of bolts on here. These larger ones are all 9/16. This is a 1/2 inch. First. All right. There we go. All right, so we took off the power steering pump. Now we've got to get the rest of this bracket off. And there's actually a little bolt back in here that we have to get at and take off. You want to make sure you tie up this pulley so it doesn't have pressure on it. So we just took a rope, tied it up to the ceiling. And also a tip, these bolts that come out of here are different sizes. So you want to try to keep track of where you put them, mark them in some way, or screw them into the new piece. And we're going to try to loosen this last bolt. There we go. Alright, now we're working on taking the water pump off. There's 4 bolts, 1/2 inch. Just want to get that right on there. There we go. Good. Alright, once this is unscrewed, basically it comes right off. You might have to fuss a little bit with the hose. I just used a screwdriver and just sort of wedged it in there. It came out pretty easy.